Hey guys, this is Luke from Make Masking Optional. I'm here with Kristen Gilfeather, trustee candidate for District 5 for Billings Public Schools. You're not going to want to miss this interview. All right, I'm here with my friend Kristen Gilfeather. She's running for Billings Public Schools for District Zone 5. I always say that wrong. Single trustee District Zone 5. And well, we're excited to have her. And I've, of course, got my wife, Brooke. We're from Make Masking Optional. We have an upcoming school board election May 3rd in Billings. There are 4 candidates, and we're sitting down with one of them tonight, Kristen Gilfeather. Kristen, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so we've got an election coming up, May 3rd, 2022, and the ballots, it is a mail-in ballot, and the ballots will be coming out mid-April. So watch your mail, make sure you're registered to vote, and we're excited to see what happens, but MakeMaskingOptional.com, you can go there to find out some more information about the upcoming election and about who we've endorsed, what candidates we've endorsed. Kristen, where can people find more information about you?
Sure. So I suppose the easiest way is my email is gilfeatherforschools@gmail.com.
Gilfeatherforschools@gmail.com. That's
Yes.
perfect. That's great. All right. So tonight we just wanted to jump into it. We wanted to take some time and have some fun. We're going to have some discussion, some back and forth, and just ask some questions about the upcoming elections. But first of all, I was just curious, what compelled you or what moved you from being just a parent on the sideline to saying I need to run for school board?
Yeah, so there was actually a moment in time where I just felt like I was called to do it. And that was last fall. And I don't remember if it was October or November, but one of the school board meetings that I was watching, and one trustee, after all of the public comment had ended, one trustee really kind of called out a lot of criticism towards parents just simply for speaking up. And at this point, there was a lot of parents who were just really frustrated and upset. And it was really kind of amazing to see how they still kept their cool during the public comment. But just the fact that there was so much public comment, it was, maybe annoying some of the trustees, and they called us out as, being inappropriate or not being very kind in their comments. And that bothered me, to chastise parents for speaking out about their kids.
Right.
And for caring. And that was kind of the pivotal moment where I'm like, all right, I'm willing to do something. It may not have been what I thought I would do, but it's something I feel is really necessary to do. And I have the ability, and I feel like I have enough experience to where I could be a good fit and I could bring something to the school board, which I thought was lacking.
So one of the criticisms that I hear, and trust me, I'm criticized a lot these days, but one of the criticisms I hear, or people lob at me or lob at people that I know that are connected to this that have fought the mask mandates or been opposed to the mandates, is that these people that are running for school board that I've endorsed, which you're one of those candidates, are anti-education. Is that true?
Absolutely not. I think it couldn't be farther from the truth. And to be quite honest, throughout the whole pandemic, I think, one of the things that stands out is that the world and the United States has been picking and choosing which facts to believe or which facts to promote. And I think education is a big part of that. Is they're kind of playing on the lack of education in the country and in the community, and doing things that probably aren't the right things to do, but maybe hoping people don't know better. And if we raise our kids in an environment where it's okay to pick and choose what you learn or what you teach, then I think we're headed down a really dangerous path. So I'm absolutely for education and for everything to be taught in truth and not being taught one-sided.
And I think that's one of my concerns is that one side tries to claim that they own the science. One side tries to claim that they own the support for public education. I just saw today that the Billings Education Association, the local teachers union, endorsed your opponent, who's the incumbent, and they said these people that we're endorsing are pro public education. Would you classify yourself as pro or anti public education?
I would classify myself as pro public education.
One of the things we would like to hear just a little bit more is we know that you actually have a job as a parent, but we know you have another job. And I was wondering, how has that prepared you? Do you think that you were qualified to serve on the school board? Is there anything within your job that makes you qualified, I guess?
Sure, that's a great question. I think without a doubt, there will be a learning curve for me, and I have a lot to learn. And I'm prepared for that challenge. That's okay with me. With my job, I've been in healthcare leadership for just around 10 years. Part of my role is I have a department that has about 100 associates that report up through me. My position's regional, so I'm familiar with overseeing multiple locations, which kind of aligns with being a school board trustee, having so many schools that are wrapped up in school district 2. I'm very familiar with writing, reviewing, and implementing policies and procedures. In healthcare, there's a policy for everything, much like there is with the school district. There's policies for just about everything. So that is definitely something I have experience with and would lend itself helpful if elected to the school board. I've also served 2 terms as a board member for a healthcare financial management association. And I'm very familiar with how board decisions are made, how board committees operate, how Robert's rules work and function. And I think that would be very helpful in serving in this new role as a school board trustee.
Thank you. So along those lines, you said you've served on other boards. What do you think it communicates to the community when the school board is always in a unanimous vote? So I find it interesting watching the school board meetings that I've watched over the past 2 years, and I've never seen a split vote, and I've hardly seen discussion about a point. Typically what happens is an agenda item is brought up, and then there is usually a recommendation attached to that from whatever committee or whoever, what department brings it, they recommend either opposing or approving it. But and then there's usually a unanimous vote. And in fact, one of the trustees has made a comment recently that if we don't as a school board, if we don't vote unanimously, we're harming education. So the question is, what do you think it communicates to the community when it's always a unanimous vote?
Yeah, I think the message it's actually sending to this point is that there's a meeting that happens before the meeting. And, serving on a healthcare finance board, there have been so many decisions that are not unanimous. Discussion happens in depth when we make decisions, especially unpopular ones. And so what I find interesting is the school board has had to make some very unpopular decisions. And for those to be unanimous blows me away. It's just really interesting to see that it doesn't feel like anybody's willing to take a stand. It doesn't seem like the current board trustees have a set of values that they're standing their ground on. So the current board to me just feels like a structure that's built on rocky soil. It doesn't have a strong foundation. It doesn't have those values that guide their decisions and that guide the discussion. So I absolutely disagree that unanimous decisions is the only way forward. And I think that, even though that board member says it would be a hindrance to education, to have honest and healthy discussion and dialogue at board meetings, I think that's what's needed. And that's the change that I think much of the community is looking for.
Can I ask a follow-up to that?
Yeah, please.
So would you be willing, if no one else was willing to say anything, if there was something that you felt needed to be discussed, would you be willing to do that?
Yep, absolutely. And I have a history of doing that as with my experience on the board. There's been a couple of occasions that even though my vote didn't happen to matter, I wanted to be on record voting what I felt was right. And so absolutely, I'm not one that particularly is concerned about what my board members will think of my vote, because I'm not here to represent the other board members, and I'm here to represent my zone, my district.
Yes.
So.
And I think that's an important point. And I feel like the balance in the district, for whatever reason, has shifted, where we used to have a union that represented the teachers, the superintendent represented the district and was the top employee of the district, and the board is supposed to represent the constituents. But I think what's happened is, for some reason, those three have all partnered together against parents and students. And that's what it feels like. Whether that's their intent, I don't know. But that is absolutely what it feels like, as someone who's watched and participated these last 2 years, is that I feel like maybe it's because the trustees haven't had an election in 6 years? And so most of them have been appointed or run unopposed. And so they forget where their bread is buttered. They forget that it's the people they're supposed to represent and not the superintendent.
The next question actually goes perfectly off of that, because it's, if you were elected, what things would you hope to facilitate in order to encourage parent partnership in education? How do we get the relationship back from the parents and connect them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I answered a question earlier today about, my thoughts on what the biggest challenges were to the district. And I think my response to that is really similar to what I would respond to that question. I think that the biggest barrier the district has right now is a lack of trust from the community and the parents. And the parents, when you look at it from an administrative point of view, they don't feel valued from the board and the superintendent. That may not be the case with the principals and the teachers. They may still have those relationships there. But, I think if I were elected to the board and, thinking of the things that I could make an impact in, the biggest thing I would want to do is just listen and, in a way that's most appropriate, be able to respond and interact with the parents. I don't think it's beneficial when parents raise concerns or thoughts or ask questions and they're just met with silence. Whatever is the most appropriate method, they need to get a response. And until that happens, I think it's really going to be an uphill battle to get a lot of parents involved. But thankfully, just with our current culture as it is right now, a lot of parents have been awoken, and hopefully we can see some benefit of that.
That's been a lot of fun, Kristen. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming and taking time and bringing Charlie down to spend some time with us. Is there anything else?
I'm 4.
And Charlie, you're 4 years old. You're such a big girl. So is there anything else that you want to leave people with? Anything we didn't cover that you think people should know about Kristen?
I think we covered so much.
On that and on your show.
Because it's the microphone, babe. Hang on, okay? We really covered so much tonight, and I appreciate the time and the thought that went into putting this together and coming up with the questions. I really appreciate that you took a moment to ask the public what their concerns were, and allowed me an opportunity to address those concerns to the best of my ability. I think, just in closing, I would say that, I don't know it all, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But I am willing to learn as much as I can. I'm willing to represent the people who would elect me. And, like I said earlier, I have my values and I will stay true to them. That's important to me. And yeah, I appreciate you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight. Guys, you had a chance to hear from Kristen Gilfeather. She's the candidate for Zone 5, Billings Public Schools. Don't forget to vote May 2nd in the election. Is that the right date? May 3rd. May 3rd. Vote by May 2nd so you're not late. It's a mail-in election. Kristen Gilfeather, you heard it tonight from her own words. I didn't plant seeds. I didn't say anything. Kristen Gilfeather, she is pro-parent. She's pro-children. She's pro-public education. She's pro-teacher. This is a candidate that you can believe in, and I think you should. She's proven tonight that she deserves your vote for Billings Public Schools. Kristen Gilfeather, good luck in the election. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.